Okay, so you want to own a golf course. You buy a beautiful piece of land, cut 18 holes through it, sell tee times from sunrise to sunset, and collect money from players who happily pay to chase a small, white ball across your property. The grass grows by itself. The customers provide their own entertainment. A clubhouse sells. Drinks, carts generate rental income. Memberships arrive every year, and the land underneath everything may become more valuable over time. That is the dream. The strange part is that golf demand in the United States is currently strong enough to make the dream sound reasonable. The National Golf Foundation counted 29.1 million on-course players in 2025. Americans played more than 500 million rounds for the sixth consecutive year, even though the country had roughly 2,000 fewer courses than during the peak supply years of the early 2000s. Average public playing fees have also risen since 2019, yet hundreds of courses disappeared during the long correction that followed the construction boom. Some properties operate comfortably. Others require subsidies, owner cash injections, redevelopment plans, or a buyer who cares more about the land than the golf. That is not a contradiction. It is the business model. A golf course is not simply a field where people play a sport. It is a perishable tee time business attached to a living landscape, wrapped inside a hospitality operation, and sitting on a large piece of real estate that may have a completely different economic value. Every morning begins with inventory. A course might have one tee time every 8 or 10 minutes. Once the sun sets, any empty slot from that day is gone forever. It cannot be stored and sold next week. At the same time, the product itself keeps growing. Grass must be mowed, watered, fertilized, treated, repaired, and protected, whether 12 golfers arrive or 200. That combination creates the central trap. Revenue changes with weather, season pricing competition, and customer interest. Much of the cost structure does not. Before you collect the first green fee, however, you need permission to own and operate the machine. Buying an existing facility is usually simpler than creating one from raw land, but the transaction still reaches far beyond a normal commercial property purchase. Zoning must permit recreational use. Water rights or supply contracts may determine whether the turf can survive. Environmental reviews can uncover wetlands, contaminated soil, protected habitat, drainage problems, chemical storage rules, or restrictions on fertilizer and pesticide application. The clubhouse may require food service permits, alcohol licenses, fire approval, accessibility compliance, and building inspections. Expansion can bring another round of planning hearings and neighborhood opposition. Lenders and insurers become gatekeepers as well. A bank does not only see scenic acreage, it sees seasonal cash flow, expensive machinery, weather exposure, deferred maintenance, and a property whose resale value may depend on whether the buyer can continue operating it as a course. An insurer sees golfers, carts, lakes, trees, alcohol, service employees using heavy equipment, and the possibility that a storm can shut the property while expenses continue. Money alone is not enough. The site must work physically, legally, and politically. Suppose you decide to build instead of buy. Land comes first, often well over 100 acres for an 18-hole layout. Once fairways, rough, water features, maintenance areas, parking, practice space, and a clubhouse are included. Then come architects, earth moving, drainage, irrigation, lakes, pump stations, bridges, cart paths, turf establishment, maintenance buildings, equipment, kitchens, furniture, technology, and years of carrying costs before the property reaches stable play. There is no useful universal price because the land, soil, climate design standard and clubhouse can change the number dramatically. Real projects show the scale more honestly. In 2000, the private developer behind New York City's Ferry Point project was required to complete at least $22.47 million of capital improvements. A quarter century later, the city of Midland, Texas approved more than $10.2 million merely to renovate one existing 18-hole course at Hogan Park, including irrigation, drainage work, new greens, turf, bunker and tee changes, and a reverse osmosis system. Renovation is not optional forever. Irrigation pipes age underground. Pumps fail. Greens become contaminated or lose their original grass. Bunkers wash out. Cart paths crack. Roofs leak. Kitchen equipment reaches the end of its life. A course can look healthy to the customer while quietly accumulating millions of dollars of deferred work. The entry price, therefore, is not just the purchase contract. It includes the maintenance backlog you inherit. Financing makes that distinction dangerous. Imagine buying a course for $6 million with $2 million of equity and $4 million of debt. The loan makes the acquisition possible, but it also converts every weak season into a deadline. Principal and interest arrive on schedule even when rain cancels weekend play. Refinancing may become harder just as the irrigation system needs replacement. If the course is already under-maintained, borrowed money can end up funding survival rather than improvement. Now the property has to earn revenue. The obvious stream is the green fee. A daily fee course sells access to one round, usually with different prices for weekday, weekend, resident, non-resident, peak, twilight, walking, and cart packages. Dynamic pricing can raise the fee when demand is strong and discount unsold periods when the tee sheet is empty. Every additional occupied slot matters because much of the day's operating cost has already been committed. Cart rentals are often bundled into the advertised rate, but economically, they are a separate machine. The fleet requires financing or leases batteries, or fuel storage, cleaning, repairs, and eventual replacement. A busy course can spread those costs across thousands of rentals. A quiet property owns the same fleet, with fewer customers paying for it. Memberships add recurring cash. Private clubs may rely on initiation fees and annual dues, while public facilities sell passes, loyalty programs, league packages, or prepaid rounds. Recurring revenue feels safer, but members expect preferred access and consistent conditions. Raise dues too quickly or let the greens deteriorate, and the most loyal customers become the first people explaining the problem to everyone else. Food and beverage create another layer. The turn between the 9th and 10th holes sells drinks and snacks. The clubhouse can host lunch, dinner, weddings, tournaments, and corporate events. Those sales diversify the business, but they also bring restaurant economics into the building. Perishable inventory, kitchen labor, health rules, alcohol controls, and demand that can disappear outside event hours. Pro shops sell balls, gloves, clothing, and logo merchandise. Practice ranges charge for buckets. Instructors sell lessons. Club storage lockers, sponsorships, tournament packages, and venue rentals add smaller streams. A resort course may use golf to fill hotel rooms, while a residential development may treat the course as an amenity that protects surrounding home values. This is why two courses with the same number of holes can be completely different businesses. One lives mainly on affordable public rounds. Another survives on dues. A destination property earns more from lodging and events than from golf itself. A famous club may turn scarcity and branding into the product. The visible fairways are only the platform. A real operator's filing shows how the stat can look. Aureus Greenway Holdings owns 2 public clubs near Orlando on more than 289 acres. In 2025, the company reported about $2.96 million of revenue. One-time green fees contributed roughly $1.88 million. Food and beverage added about $615,000. Merchandise produced about $105,000, and ancillary services contributed around $70,000. Annual membership revenue was approximately $290,000. The mix reveals both strength and vulnerability. Most money still depended on people showing up to play. During 2025, one of the 2 courses closed from mid-May until early October for a greens renovation. Total rounds fell from about 56,000 in 2024 to roughly 51,000, while the average price per round slipped from about $38 to $37. Green fee revenue declined, and the company spent more than $1 million on property and equipment during the year. Its maintenance contract also became more expensive. A renovated green may improve future demand, but the work destroys current inventory. The owner pays for construction while losing the tee times that would normally help fund it. That brings the cost machine into view. Course maintenance is usually the largest operational department. Superintendents, assistants, mechanics, irrigation technicians, equipment operators, and seasonal staff begin work before the first customer arrives. Mowers must cut greens with extraordinary precision. Fairways, tees, rough, bunkers, trees, lakes, and drainage systems each demand a different schedule. Fertilizer, seed, sand, chemicals, fuel, electricity, water, replacement parts, and specialized equipment turn the landscape into a factory that never stops producing. Labor continues in the clubhouse. Golf staff check in. Players manage the tee sheet, organize outings, handle carts, clean facilities, serve food, stock merchandise, and answer complaints. Accounting, marketing software, payment processing, insurance, property tax, security, waste collection, legal, work, and licensing sit behind them. Capital spending is the cost that weak owners postpone. That makes the income statement look better for a while. Eventually, the physical course collects the unpaid bill. Water adds a strategic constraint. A 2025 industry study reported that American golf facilities used 31% less water in 2024 than in 2005, evidence that operators have become more efficient. The national total was still about 1.63 million acre-feet. In a dry region, water price and availability can define the entire business. Reclaimed wastewater, drought-tolerant turf, moisture sensors, targeted irrigation, and reduced maintained acreage are not public relations extras. They can determine whether the course remains playable. The business also faces operating leverage, even if nobody uses that term in the clubhouse. In plain language, the property becomes very profitable when more players use an already maintained course, but it loses money quickly when volume falls, because the landscape staff debt and infrastructure do not shrink at the same speed. Weather demonstrates the mechanism. Rain on a Monday morning may be manageable. Rain across 3 Saturdays can erase the month's best inventory. Extreme heat reduces demand while increasing turf stress. A hurricane can damage trees, wash out bunkers, interrupt electricity, and close the facility. In northern climates, winter compresses the selling season. Florida courses can operate year-round, but summer heat and humidity may produce their weakest quarter. Customers have leverage too. A golfer can compare nearby tee times on a phone and switch courses in seconds. Corporate outings negotiate group pricing because they bring dozens of players at once. Members threaten to leave if conditions decline. Third-party booking and travel partners can deliver volume, but discounted customers do not create the same margin as direct bookings. The owner cannot simply raise prices without consequence. Premium fees require premium conditions, convenient access, strong service, or genuine scarcity. A course that charges more while cutting maintenance may enter a slow spiral. Conditions weaken, reviews worsen, rounds fall, cash tightens, and the next maintenance cut becomes easier to justify. Development risk can be even more severe than operating risk, as Ferry Point demonstrated. The project began with an attractive idea: transform a former municipal landfill in the Bronx into a new public golf course. Under a 2000 agreement, Ferry Point Partners was supposed to develop and operate the facility, complete at least $22.47 million of improvements by January 2003, and pay New York City the greater of a $1.25 million annual fee or a percentage of gross receipts. The land was not ordinary land. Excessive methane had already been detected, creating a remediation problem beneath the future fairways. The city authorized up to $8.6 million for that work and had reimbursed the developer $7.24 million by September 2006. Construction did not unfold as planned. Deadlines moved. Oversight failed. The course did not open and generate the expected fees. A 2007 audit by the New York City Comptroller concluded that the Parks Department had not effectively checked whether remediation costs were substantiated, reasonable, and necessary. According to the audit, the city overpaid the concessionaire by almost $6 million and lost more than $3 million of expected license revenue. The department moved to terminate the agreement in 2006. The lesson is larger than one troubled contract. Land can hide engineering problems. A delay creates interest, payroll, legal fees, and lost revenue before a single golfer arrives. The apparent asset is the acreage. The real asset is permitted, buildable, drainable, irrigable land, connected to enough customers at a price they will pay. Success comes from aligning those pieces rather than merely building a beautiful layout. Consider the courses at Hogan Park in Midland, Texas. In fiscal 2025, the municipal operation generated $4.8 million of revenue, up from $3.9 million the prior year. The city reported roughly 10,000 additional rounds and a 23% increase in revenue. Higher user fees, tournament activity, pro shop income, and stronger volume helped the operation cover its costs without relying on the general fund. That performance gave the course something more valuable than one profitable season: the ability to reinvest. Midland approved more than $10.2 million for a major renovation of the Quail Course, financed by golf-generated funds rather than general taxpayer support. The advantage was not magic. Demand improved, pricing rose, utilization increased, and the operation converted that momentum into infrastructure. Better drainage and irrigation should protect future course conditions. The reverse osmosis system is intended to improve water quality for greens. Instead of extracting every dollar as short-term profit, the owner is rebuilding the machine that creates the next decade of tee times. Scale can help as well. A manager operating many facilities can centralize purchasing, marketing, technology, training, and revenue management. Larger groups may negotiate better equipment terms, move experienced staff between properties, and compare performance across similar courses. A single independent owner has fewer buffers. One broken pump, one departing superintendent, or one bad season can become a company-level crisis. Now place yourself behind the desk for one ordinary year. Assume you own a solid, public, 18-hole course in a competitive metropolitan market. The following numbers are illustrative, not the reported results of a specific property. 40,000 rounds are played at an average realized green and cart fee of $45, producing $1.8 million. Memberships, leagues, and tournament packages add $300,000. Food and beverage contribute $500,000. The pro shop, range, lessons, sponsorships, and events produce another $300,000. Total revenue reaches $2.9 million. Course maintenance consumes $900,000. Clubhouse and golf operation labor take $650,000. Food, beverage, and event costs absorb $350,000. Utilities, water, insurance, property taxes, administration, software, marketing, and professional fees require $400,000. Cart leases, equipment repairs, and smaller operating expenses use another $200,000. The property produces $400,000 before interest, taxes, depreciation, and major replacement projects. That operating result is often called EBITDA, a rough measure of earnings before financing and certain accounting costs. $400,000 sounds attractive until the capital structure arrives. Annual debt service is $300,000. A responsible owner also reserves $150,000 for irrigation, turf, roofs, paths, pumps, kitchen equipment, and machinery. Cash after debt and the replacement reserve is negative $50,000. Nothing has gone dramatically wrong. The course is busy. Revenue is close to $3 million. Customers see green fairways and a crowded parking lot. The owner still has to contribute cash or postpone investment. Now change one variable. A wet spring and brutally hot summer reduce rounds by 20%. Green and cart revenue falls by $360,000. Food shop and event sales lose another $100,000. Management cuts hourly labor purchases and a few marketing expenses, saving $120,000. Revenue has fallen $460,000. But costs decline only $120,000. The original $400,000 operating result collapses to about $60,000. Debt service remains $300,000. The course still needs the $150,000 capital reserve. The year now ends roughly $390,000 short. That is operating leverage. A modest decline in rounds does not create a modest decline in owner cash flow. It can erase the entire profit and turn scheduled investment into emergency borrowing. The tempting response is to cancel the reserve. That may keep the bank account alive this year. Next year, customers notice slower greens, bare areas, old carts, broken paths, and unreliable irrigation. Revenue falls for a reason the owner created. The future of the business will be shaped by operators who break that cycle. Water efficiency will move from environmental ambition to financial necessity. Reclaimed supplies can reduce dependence on potable water, while better sensors and turf selection can lower usage without destroying playability. Some layouts will maintain less grass, remove thirsty rough redesigned bunkers, and concentrate spending on the surfaces golfers value most. Technology will change the tee sheet. Dynamic pricing, mobile booking, automated pace monitoring, and customer databases can improve utilization. Simulators and off-course golf may appear to be competitors, yet they also introduce millions of people to the game. The National Golf Foundation counted 19 million Americans who participated exclusively off-course in 2025. Converting even a fraction of them into occasional on-course players creates new demand, but traditional clubs will have to make the first visit easier, faster, and less intimidating. Shorter rounds, flexible memberships, evening events, family programs, practice experiences, and social. Food and beverage concepts can widen the customer base. None of these ideas eliminate the maintenance burden. They make the same land productive for more hours and more types of customers. Real estate will remain the final tension. A struggling course may be worth little as an operating business, but a great deal as developable land. Owners can discover that closing the course creates more financial value than improving it. Communities may resist because open space, drainage, views, and nearby home values are tied to the property. Zoning can preserve the course or trap capital inside it. That optionality explains why buyers sometimes accept thin golf profits. They may be purchasing water rights, land scarcity, a hotel amenity, residential value, a membership network, or long-term redevelopment potential. The round of golf is only one return on the asset. None of this makes a course automatically good or bad to own. Results change with location financing regulation, weather, water competition management, and the condition of the property. And these figures are an explanation of the machine rather than personalized financial, legal, accounting, or investment advice. The ownership fantasy began with a simple picture: buy land, grow grass, sell tea times. The reality is more demanding. You are scheduling perishable inventory on a living surface, financing infrastructure that deteriorates underground, running a restaurant and retail operation, negotiating with customers who can leave instantly, and protecting a piece of land whose best economic use may eventually compete with the game itself. You thought you were buying 18 holes. What you were really buying was a weather-exposed hospitality business, a permanent maintenance obligation, and a long-term bet on what the land beneath the fairways will be worth.